Hi, friends. This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. And we're going to talk about one of the myths that Gamemasters, channel right here on YouTube, called out about D&D. And this myth is, you need every rule book. And so he said, hey, this is a myth. You do not need every rule book. He is 100% wrong. You absolutely need every rule book. And so I'm going to break down why every single myth of the 5 myths he called out was wrong. Absolutely wrong. They are not myths. They are hard facts, in my humble opinion, okay? And I'm going to break it down why he's incredibly wrong. All right, so let's get into this. Why is he wrong that you need every rule book? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the essentials rules. You're like, wait a second, couldn't you just buy the essentials rules and play D&D? Well, first of all, there's 3 things that we do with D&D, okay? We gesture at D&D. Now, gesturing, it's going to sound shameful and silly, but it's not. It's a real thing, all right? So basically, this has happened literally 100,000 times, right? That's not an exaggeration. This has happened 100,000 times. Somebody watches Stranger Things, and they're like, oh my gosh, Dungeons & Dragons looks pretty awesome. What do I do, right? And if they ask anybody who knows, the right answer is you need the Essentials Kit. Buy the Essentials Kit, read through the books of the Essentials Kit, and get together your friends and run the Essentials Kit adventure, right? And that works. You will know if you and your friends like Dungeons & Dragons or not. And a ton of people are like, oh my gosh, this is super hard, and I'm not going to invest any more time in this. And that's fair. D&D is outrageously difficult. D&D is not even remotely simple. It is outrageously complicated and outrageously hard. It is not for the faint of heart, faint of mind, or the faint of spirit. It is outrageously difficult. And anyone who tells you that D&D is easy is a ridiculous fool that you should ignore every word they ever say. Okay, all right. Now, so that's D&D gesturing. That's completely fine, and that's separate from this discussion. You can do that to determine if you want to play D&D, okay? Now, actually, I believe the word play is wrong. We don't play D&D. We do D&D, right? So here's the kicker. Do you need every rule book to play D&D? And more specifically, to do D&D? Yes, absolutely yes. You ridiculous fool. Do not even think of playing D&D without the rule books. That's absurd and should not be done by anyone. And if you're in that situation, run for the hills. Run for the good, loving Lord Hills. And actually, here's the thing. If you're running D&D without the rule books, what you're really doing is storytelling. There's a whole category of this, right? It's called storytelling games, right? A Quiet Year is the best storyteller game that has ever been written. It's phenomenally good. It is really, really good, right? But it is a storytelling game, and it is not Dungeons & Dragons, and it is not a tabletop role-playing game. Now, storytelling games get very upset when people talk about their content. And the reason why is storytelling games don't want to be labeled storytelling games, and the reason why is people despise storytelling games. And for every D&D player, you'll find one. For every 1,000 D&D players, you'll find one excited storytelling game player. They're disgusting. Generally, even at their best, they're nothing compared to Dungeons & Dragons. And so, if you are running Dungeons & Dragons without rulebooks, you're not running Dungeons & Dragons. You are telling a disgusting storytelling game. Don't pretend that you're a dungeon master like me, right? You're not, okay? All right. You absolutely need every single rule book. In fact, what is the expectation of a 5th edition or 5th improved, that's the 2024 core rulebook material, Dungeon Master? What is the expectation of them? I don't need to tell you. Ben from Questing Beast already told you, okay? Get this. The expectation for you as a Dungeon Master, according to Ben from Questing Beast, he said this is one of the best quotes he ever did. He said, there's an expectation that you know the rules backwards and forwards, that you are an unparalleled storyteller, and that you function as a life coach. Did you hear that? Right? So if you're going to do all that, you darn well better have read every single book, every single rule book, the DMG, the PHB, and the MM. Okay? And frankly, you should have read all of them. What do I mean by that? I mean that to actually be a dungeon master, and I have done this, you should have read the 1974, you should have read the 1977 hardback DMG PHB MM. You should have read the 1989 2E. That was the 1E. That 1977 1E hardback DMG PHB and MM. You should have read the 1989 2E hardback DMG MM and PHB. You should have read the 2003E. Actually, you should have read the 2003 3.5E hardback DMG, PHB, and MM. You should have read the 2008 4E DMG, PHB, and MM. You should have read the 2014 hardback Canon 5th edition DMG, PHB, and MM. And you should have read the 5i 2024 DMG, PHB, and MM, all hardback. That, and the reason why is 1D&D. 1D&D is a very real thing, right? And not only do you need to, and I own every single version and edition of Dungeons & Dragons in its canon hardback for each edition, okay? And the second spark of 5th edition, 5i. That, so he is, you do have to own every rulebook, and I mean every rulebook, or you are a ridiculous fool who is gesturing at Dungeons & Dragons. Do not even think of trying to run Dungeons & Dragons without every rulebook. It is ridiculousness. And is it a myth? Absolutely not. That is a hard fact, in my humble opinion. You absolutely must own. You must own every single hardback for the DMG, MM, and PHB. Have read them, understand them to deliver D&D, which is 1D&D. And if you haven't, you suck. Get back from the table and get good. He is 100% wrong. 100% wrong. And this is absolutely, in my opinion, a very non-correct approaching danger. I'm not going to say what he's saying is dangerous. I personally consider what he's saying dangerous. To tell people that they can play Dungeons & Dragons without owning every rulebook is absurd. And frankly, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say you need to, that what he's saying is dangerous. What's my evidence for that? It literally contains safety tools at this point, right? If it's not dangerous, and so one, if you don't own all the rule books, how are you going to wrap your game in safety? That's interesting, right? What he's saying is outrageously wrong, and you should absolutely not listen to him on this one. This one is particularly wrong. Do want to say, great guy, great channel. You should definitely go over there and check him out. It's okay to be wrong. Wait. Why is it okay to be wrong? Why is it okay to make content that's wrong? We ski to black diamonds. You're going to hit a tree. You're going to fall off a cliff, right? Yeah, you ain't got nothing wrong in your content, means you're on the bunny slopes. The guy's 100% wrong. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy. Doesn't mean he has bad content. Doesn't mean he has a bad channel. He's very wrong about this. Still a good guy. Still great content. Still great channel. Frankly, I think he works harder on his channel than me. I think his channel is better than mine. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Absolutely nothing more, absolutely nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like subscribing and have a fetch millennium.